Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brock Beard from LastCar.info, wishing you all a very happy new year here in the first week of the 2024 season as we continue to count down to the beginning of the 2024 NASCAR season with the Busch Clash at the Coliseum, Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum coming up here very shortly. I wanted to not to really do a watch along here this time around, but I feel like we needed to kind of catch up on quite a bit of news that has been happening in and around the sport lately. I also have some updates about the site itself, including the lastcar.info webpage, which will be our show and tell segment tonight. Well, also, as you can see on camera, we got the trivia deal back out. We'll do some trivia questions. I know we haven't done that in a little while as well, so we're going to catch up on all of that. Another thing you may notice, I changed the camera arrangement a little bit too. So that includes kind of the audio here as well. So let me know if you're having any issues or suggestions or anything on the setup from that. I've invested in a couple different tripods here originally I had like the light and the camera right on the laptop. Now I've moved those back a little bit, and we got the second screen still set up here and the microphone. Hopefully that'll work pretty well. And we will, find out how it goes from there. Hopefully we get a good setup going before the season starts. And, of course, we'll return to our weekly shows once the season actually begins. Now I have no doubt that with the number of stories that have happened here, I'm sure I'm going to be forgetting a couple if I just do it from memory here. So feel free to mention in the chat. It doesn't have to be a super chat. You just mention the chat, different topics here, and I'll do the best I can to cover those. First and foremost, I definitely do want to cover a couple of the bigger points here. First of all, condolences to the family and friends of both Cale Yarborough and Gilles de Ferran, who we both lost within the last couple of weeks here. Of course, Cale Yarborough, the three-time Cup Series champion, definitely a frequent visitor to victory lane. You think back to Jimmy Johnson and trying to match his win total in his career. A driver that has touched so many lives throughout his career in the Cup Series, one of the toughest competitors out there. It's been so, it's sad, of course, when you have one of these veteran drivers, and I know that Cale had been sick for a while, but at the same time, a driver that, is also still, people are celebrating. And even still today, I saw some messages talking about just how many laps he had even led in his Cup Series career as well. Again, I think that the important thing is, again, it's great that he's in the Hall of Fame, that he was able to enjoy a lot of the accolades of his career, not just as a driver, but also as a team owner. In fact, for those of you who've checked out Derek Cope's book, you'll know that Yarborough was one of the team owners that Derek drove for from the first part of 1993 into the midway through 1994. In fact, it was that ride that saved Derek from really being out of a ride, that the Bob Wickham team was not actually going to be running the Daytona 500 after they originally had planned to. That deal fell through, and in fact, Derek had one of his best runs outside of the 1990 500 in 93. It was ultimately when he was involved in the accident that eliminated Rusty Wallace down the back straightaway that things went sideways. I think the only other 500 that Derek really had that much success through most of it, I would say, between 1998 with a great run that he had for Bahari Racing, and even in 2000, where he was running very strong in that Daytona 500 before late race engine trouble. So again, another big figure in the sport. Definitely, I'm so glad that people are still talking about him and still sharing their memories of it. And I'm glad that that people didn't wait till then to share those memories as well. I know that when news was breaking that Yarborough had fallen ill, people was definitely sharing stories from his career. I'm glad also that it coincided with the NASCAR Classics page, so you could see things such as those back-to-back Daytona 500 wins, something that, really, you had Sterling Marlin match that in the mid-90s, but then, Denny Hamlin being the latest driver to really match that many years later. Another one of those accomplishments that it's just so hard to measure from one period to the next. It was just as much of a massive accomplishment back then as it would have been today. I know I was just sharing the story about the 83 500 and him winning it in that backup car that was parked in front of a Hardee's restaurant there after he had that big flip in the second lap of qualifying. and coming back out and actually running that car in the 500 and winning it that season, and telling that to some friends that really weren't into racing that much. And they're just like, wow, it's like no way, and that was the stuff of legends, and very much so there. A driver I never got a chance to really speak to, but again, everybody that had spoken to him, it sounded like they just had just a tremendously down to earth person, as well as with Gilles de Ferran. I'm not as plugged into the open wheel ranks there, but when they played that FedEx commercial that included him at the FedEx dealership there, and the clever cross promotion there. I believe NASCAR Man was posting that, or somebody else had posted it earlier this week. Just shocking news on that one too, especially for him being a younger man there through that. The 2003 Indianapolis 500 winner, a tremendous champion there. I mean, there's so many great drivers that have come out of Brazil over the years, and I can't say for sure if he was ever overlooked in that same respect. When you look at your Ayrton Sennas and your Felipe Massas and Rubens Barrichello and other drivers of that caliber. But again, you have your face on the Borg Warner Trophy. That's definitely another another step in history and being remembered. I know that the Indianapolis Motor Speedway's museum is currently being rebuilt at the moment. They're going through some efforts there on that, but I anticipate. I'm sure they have something planned there as a tribute for Gilles de Ferran there after that's brought back into operation again. I know that they had his name on the pylon at the track. We saw that with John Andretti and other personalities in the last few years. But yeah, shocking news on that for him being much younger, and certainly condolences to his friends and family on that end. Checking on other stories, I appreciate, again, those of you bringing up the stories. Oh, thank you. We got a viewer from Indonesia, F. Mecca. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you're having a good morning there on that for sure. Talking about other news stories here, and I see the question already here about the Norm Benning deal. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. This is something that came together just recently. I know that we've had the Last Car logo on Norm's truck in the past, and there was that excellent video that Stapleton42 did, Mitchell Stapleton did on his channel on Norm's team recently. And I think that, again, especially after the G2G story, which was published on my website, I'm sorry, I've just got to turn this, just adjust this a little bit. With the G2G story from last year, and Norm, the one thing he said more than anything in the interview that we did on that is just how big of a story it would have been if Norm was able to back up that qualifying run and have a good run, or at least a good performance in that Daytona Truck Series race last year. Unfortunately, the deal didn't come together. The full story of that, of course, is on the Last Car page there, that there was an issue with the taping on the nose of the truck, an issue with the setup of the truck, and then he ultimately didn't qualify for the race. And that story kind of disappeared, and Norm really wanted to kind of make sure people understood exactly what was happening from that. And I think the most important thing on that for his end is just to make sure that people knew that, yeah, he's still determined to get a good run out there at Daytona. So Norm and I have been, in touch. I've been planning on doing something more with him for the channel here as well. But he did reach out to me over the holidays here and told me that yes. And as you've seen this, I think Toby Christie's page, Joseph Srigley did a wonderful write up on that as well to talk about this. That yes, in Norm's own words, he is in position. He has not yet secured. He is in position to secure what would be the best Truck Series entry that he's ever had in his entire career, which is saying something. He's had some offers and experiences with other teams or teams that helped him out, including the race at Eldora, where all the other teams came out and helped him fix that truck back up and be able to make that first race at Eldora after the last chance qualifier in his battle with Clay Greenfield. This year, he was very excited about this deal. When we first talked about it, he said that he was about 2/3 of the way there on the sponsorship, that he was looking for that 1/3. I myself, I don't have really any connections with businesses necessarily. The best I can do is just signal boost that out there. I have to kind of remind myself, how many people follow the website, how many people follow the YouTube channel, and anything that gets that out there, I feel is something that's helpful. And I have heard from a number of people who have been interested in it. I don't know beyond that, which ones have jumped on board, if any, how much closer he is to the deal than before. I know that the article indicated, Norm originally told me that the deadline was going to be at the end of December. That now from the Joseph Strigley article seems to indicate that it's now going to be sometime middle of this month, which is, I guess, good, you could say. It sounds like they haven't still reached the mark that he wants to reach yet, but he still has more time to reach that, so that's excellent. So if you're interested in that, you can drop me a DM or you can reach out to Norm as well. normbenning84@yahoo.com is his email address. If you need his phone number, I don't want to publicize that here on the video stream, but you can either DM me or you can reach out to him through his email address. You can check that out as well. He's very reachable that way. So hopefully something works out on that end. I know that he's very excited to get there. I can say that he has told me which team was looking into it. I cannot say which team that is, but from what he did tell me, yes, this would be easily his best run that he's had in the Truck Series for sure. So I will leave it at that. But yes, hopefully something comes up on that. I think it's going to be, hopefully if it works out, I think it'd be fantastic. He's, I'd love to see him bounce back from the disappointment of last year, hopefully have another good run in practice and qualifying. I think it's another sad commentary on the format of qualifying at the racetrack there that, you could have a really good practice run and then the time, the everything is compressed so much. And while I think that's great for fans to a certain extent, because you can get out there, and if you're only able to be out there for 3 days, you're going to have a ton of activity to be able to enjoy. But for these teams, they are just absolutely scrambling by, and sometimes just very last second trying to get anything together there to actually be able to compete out there. And if something goes sideways, we've seen Mike Harmon's team get bit by this before, Carl Long's team, and even bigger efforts as well. Have the same situation, and then that's always going to be a potential problem. But again, hopefully, if it's a bit of a smoother effort, a team that's able to bounce back from issues like this a lot better, I think that would be something that would be that could turn out. So I don't know anything beyond that. I'm glad the word has gotten out. Again, I don't have a whole lot of connections. I was very fortunate with the Mike Harmon deal last year. That was more of an organization to do the video on the hauler theft that I was working with on that. And, that was more the benefit on my end there versus, really anything else with sponsorship. I think he did get some sponsors there back when Dawson Cram was running at Michigan and some other races there from that. And again, I'd love to help these teams out as best I can. I know there's been a history of it in motorsports media. It used to be, Barney Hall was the person, same one from MRN, was the person that got J.D. McDuffie in touch with Rumpel Furniture as their sponsor back in the 1980s. Pat Patterson was a person that Derek Cope spoke of very highly, that helped him in the contact of getting a hold of Pure Later and the deals that he had with that. And which team he should bring the sponsor over to. That was a big deal. So I hope to be able to do my own small part to be able to keep that going. And I'm sure that happens with other people in the media or people that have certain connections or people that just have certain awareness of these different teams and what they're trying to accomplish out there. But I think that would be something that would be exciting at the same time. So we'll see. I wish Norm the very best on that. I haven't heard any new news on it this week, but fingers crossed. We will certainly find out what will happen one way or the other. Reverend Rashim, thank you for your super chat here as well. Again, chances of having JRM in the Cup Series soon. Good question. I think there's a lot you could look at, a lot of moving parts in the charter system. I guess we're still waiting to hear what the actual charter agreement is going to be. Now that we have the TV contract out there, everybody's going to be reaching their hands into the pile of money there and figuring out where all that's going to be going. I'm not sure. It's going to take somebody else. The unfortunate reality with the charter system is it's going to take somebody else losing their charter for somebody like JRM to get in there. And I think the fact that JRM still hasn't been able to get into the Cup Series, regardless, is another condemnation on the charter system itself. There should be nothing that should keep, if Dale Jr. wants to enter a Cup car or two or whatever, he should be able to enter the cars in there. Now, whether they qualify or not, that should be left up to the same system that's always been in place. If you're fast enough to get in there, I remember when Bill Lester was making his first attempts in 2006, and I remember Larry McReynolds talking about this as he was clocking his laps in and said, "Look, this is a show me sport. Show me what you can do. You can have all the backing, you can have the storylines, you can have all this other stuff there, but you got to get it done on the clock." And Bill Lester got it done that night, made his Cup debut, and made his own piece of history down there. And JRM should be afforded that same opportunity. I know that they could look into doing an open team, but the problem is, under the system that at least we had to this point, that's just not a profitable system. Carl Long has a Cup car sitting in his garage that he spent hundreds of man hours on. Can't enter it in a race, really, because it's just not profitable enough to do that, unless it's the Daytona 500, I suppose. But even in those cases, it's tricky. And then, you have teams that have missed the 500 that have had large backing. We saw Austin Hill and Chandler Smith failed to qualify for the 500 last year, in what I think surprised a lot of people compared to the teams that actually did qualify for the race that time around. Certainly the issues that Connor Daly had on the money team effort there. So yeah, I think in a perfect world, we'd have something closer to like 2007, where you'd have qualifying races that actually would have consequences. If you would qualify towards the top of the field, you would be able to make the show. And if you don't have enough to get in, it doesn't matter if you're a big team, small team, or whatever. That's just the way the system goes. And if you're able to qualify consistently, or if you're able to bounce back from a DNQ earlier in the year, that should be a big story. And it's sad that we just don't have that. And it's unfortunately too to be in a situation where you don't really have programs like that. So we'll find out what's going to happen. I think it's going to be it'll be interesting to find out what the arrangement is. But I think ordinarily, Junior Motorsports and the deal with Hendrick and whatever their arrangement is, they certainly have the facilities and the talent that are capable of being in the Cup Series. And that's the sad part. If you have the capability, there's already so many obstacles you have to overcome to even get into the Cup Series these days. They're already ahead of several of those programs. If they ever felt like, putting Justin Allgaier back into the Cup Series, imagine him having a bounce back experience the same way we've seen AJ Allmendinger. I keep waiting for that. Allgaier has had these super sub roles where he struggled, and unfortunately, and I think that's kind of dropped his star in the Cup Series a little bit. But he has time and time again shown, just impressive results in the Xfinity Series, one of the top tier programs out there. And I would love to see him get another shot at it, and maybe with JRM, and maybe bringing that whole program up there, and just see what happens. I think that would be really exciting. But I certainly don't see it this year unless there's something massive happening with the charter system to allow for that. But I haven't heard anything one way or the other about them doing it. I would anticipate if they were going to do something this year, we would have heard about it long ago. So I would think that it's going to be a matter of which charters are going to be available, given what happened with Starcom Racing, and you can look at the Derek Cope book for the story on that, or what the nature of Spire Motorsports is in all of this, and and how charters have moved around through their system and where they've gone. Of course, BJ McLeod's team this year not having a charter like they had in the past, and just running the super speedways and other races as well, scaling back their schedule so that you could have other programs. We're going to have the third Spire car, the 71 car on there for Zane's. Was it Zane Smith, or was it there's that whole convoluted thing with Trackhouse and Spire? I need to get brushed up on this before I do my next entry list storylines here to start the year. But definitely another situation there from there. But I'm not anticipating anything with the Junior Motorsports thing changing unless it's going to take another charter being available. I don't see them entering as an open team. I don't think that would, even for their program with their resources, I don't think that would be worth it at that point there. But we'll find out. We'll find out. Yeah, I saw some people mentioning, of course, also the YouTube situation here from this too, and this is another reason I kind of decided not to do. I was going to do a stream last week around New Year's, and I was like, well, I mean, there's so much stuff was in flux, and I'll tell you about this too here. Just give you a little behind the scenes there. Of course, that whole situation on YouTube, I am very pleased to say that's been more or less resolved from what I've seen. I think Tim Clark, excuse me, and the folks over at the NASCAR Classics page have worked overtime here to rectify that situation. I didn't know exactly what to think either, just like any other YouTubers here. When they started receiving all those claims, I had received a couple over the late fall. Didn't really think anything of it because they were much older videos, so I figured they weren't getting a whole lot of hits. But then that week, I think it was around the December 14th, 15th, getting pretty close to the holidays there. I started getting a couple more. I had one on the Johnny Benson video, and then just literally like 60 of them. Just a ton of them there, and it was stupefying because a lot of them would be multiple claims for different videos and all that coming up there. And yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of discussion about that. I know that Slap Shoes, I know Ben, I know your channel was hit there as well, and several other people. And I think at that point it was very clear that this was some kind of automated issue, and it was something with NASCAR Classics. I know there was a lot of discussion about if this had something to do with the new technical facility that NASCAR had, where they opened their new broadcasting and remote broadcasting facility that they opened up recently. But you know, I was relieved that in, you know, basically about a couple days after this, already some of my claims were already getting released, which was great. Again, big thanks to those folks over there at whoever it is that's in charge of all that over there for releasing those. I was relieved. I know that there were other people where their claims weren't released that quickly as well. In fact, I know, Ben, I know for you, example, you had some other claims that came up over the holidays, and you weren't the only one either because other people were getting caught up in this. And then it was like, you know, but I'm glad that the news, especially after this new year here, they've been catching up on those too. So I know a lot of Ben's have been cleared up. And actually, there were even more on my channel too that I thought were cleared up back in middle of December that still weren't cleared up. And then those were cleared up. So even I was still getting some back there too. I think I was just so relieved when they started getting backed out there back on the 14th. I definitely had to say something because I was like, okay, look, they're working on it. I think it's, you know, that hopefully things are clearing up. And it was just unfortunate timing that it was over the holidays. And so big thanks to everyone over at NASCAR Classics. I think, as I said on social media at the time there, I think this is a very, very positive indicator just through the claims releases themselves that they're supportive of what people are doing here on YouTube to promote the sport, that our interests are the same, that we are trying to, you know, get this sport, you know, in the faces of as many people as possible, and making use of what people are saving on here too. And that's good to see. You know, we'll see where that goes. You know, I think that if anything else, this has been an experience that has brought a lot of attention to NASCAR on YouTube, whoever the person is, whatever the creator, whatever the size of channel. I think that's been a very positive thing on that occasion there as well. So I think that's very good. Again, I don't really have much more to bear on it than that, but I think, you know, again, releasing the claims, allowing the videos to be monetized, I think that's a very positive thing going forward for everybody involved there. And I'm glad it was other, you know, I mean, it was comforting that it was other people that were caught up in this to begin with, which again showed that it was automated. And it was also comforting that everybody's was getting released about the same time. So clearly there was a switch that was flipped or something just went sideways there. And that was great. So I know there were a lot of people. I know, Ben, you did videos on this. Slap Shoes did as well. I wasn't sure. I was thinking of doing a video myself. When mine started getting cleared up, I'm like, let me wait and see what's happening here. But I'm glad the story was getting out there and things were cleared up on that. And so that's been a very big positive here. So again, I don't know if any of them are watching, whoever it is over there, but I definitely appreciate that support there, because that, I think, a lot of times, and I know other people that make videos on YouTube here, especially about NASCAR, can attest to this. It's sometimes hard to tell who's watching and who's paying attention there. And I know there's been a lot of people commenting from other motorsports as well. I know if you look at like a typical Formula One video, a lot of times it's like a slideshow because they have very strict restrictions on video content on there, which is a shame because there's so many good Formula One channels out there and the history of it. Aiden Millward and Retro GP, that's more of a merch website, but WTF1 or those other websites like that. There's only a couple I've really been watching, but they do a really good job with the history aspect. Mobile Chicane, that was one I was thinking of. He's really good. Just great content on that. But oftentimes, they have to resort to different sections. And I'm sure people in other sports, you think we got the last week of the NFL regular season right now. People that talk about the NFL have to deal with the same situation there. Urinating Tree, with his content and so forth, they have to work with that. But I think this is positive going forward. I'm sure this will be something that, hopefully leads into another burst of great content there for the site. I'm glad it got cleared up because I have a whole list of other things that I've been meaning to work on here in the meantime. We did release episode 7 since our last stream on here of 500 days. I was very pleased to get that out before the holidays. That was one of my goals there. After I got the Mike Harmon and the Quebec, New York video done, that was the next thing on my list. So I'm so glad that people were very excited about that. I think that I'm so pleased that people are really excited about that one, and that it's not just field fillers now, although I do still have plans on that series. I'm still having scripts together on that. I'm glad now there's a couple of series that people enjoy on my channel here. And that's one I'm definitely thrilled to keep going to. I'm actually kind of working on the script of episode 8 already. What I want to do is kind of have a process here where each next episode of 500 Days is being produced as the other one's being released. And that kind of keeps at least a foundation to a more regular upload schedule. That's going to be a big focus this year. I will say, and again, those of you who are in the Patreon, again, thank you so much, everyone, for those of you who are in the Patreon as well. And again, if you're not able to join that, sharing these videos that I have on this channel here, that is the next best thing you can do, because it really does help get these videos out there. We're very close to 20,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which is very exciting. But yeah, I think that's another important aspect of it. But this year, my focus is to really kind of make more videos on this channel, get closer to a more regular upload schedule. I don't think it's going to be like every week, but I do think it's going to be much more regular than we saw last year, or certainly the year before, when I was starting to really produce 500 Days, pretty much the whole second half of 2020. Was that 2021 or 2022? Gosh. Oh yeah, well now it's 2024, so I guess it's 2022. So yeah, I mean, it's time goes by quick. But that's going to be a big focus there. I have a couple other scripts. I've already mentioned these, on the Patreon here as well. I have another driver profile I'm working on, and a follow-up to an earlier episode of Field Fillers. I know I was already working on the Carter Racing episode on the number 37 team from 2004. There is another video that I'm going to be putting on there, and I'll go ahead and mention this because I mentioned it in the Patreon. I remember the Carl Long episode that already had 2 parts to it. I got a couple interesting comments on there, and I really do read all the comments on there, because I mean, you never know. If you like it, if you hate it, you're still going to give me something that's going to help in making these videos better. And I hope there's been an upswing in the later uploads versus older videos. But a couple of concerns I got were that the time period between when Carl Long received his penalty, the record-breaking penalty in 2009, to the founding of MBM in and around 2017, when he returned to the Cup Series, that I kind of glazed over that I didn't go into that in depth. And I agree. I think that wasn't covered well enough. So what I'm working on is I'm doing a third part of the Carl Long video that is going to be up here. And that script is probably the closest one I have to completion. I've done another interview with Carl since then. We interviewed around Thanksgiving, and I did a follow-up with one of his team owners who I happened to run into at Phoenix. That gelled together very well. So this is going to be a very interesting section, and it's going to focus. I know the Field Fillers series up to this point has kind of looked at 2004, but this is going to focus much more on that period between about 2009 and 2017, and really filling in the gaps in that story. And it is a story worth telling. Since Carl's story really extended to the current day, I think it's important to kind of capture that in there. So that is another video I'm working on. That will probably be my next release. This driver profile one I'm working on, it's kind of turned into a much, much larger project than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to have to do at least one more interview on that before I'm even ready to announce it. So we're getting very close on that. And then in the meantime, 500 Days Episode 8, I got a really good draft going. I just need to watch the Busch race and the Cup race from that weekend to fill that in, and we'll get the race action part in it, and then that one will be very close. So we're already off to a pretty good start here, with still a few weeks before the beginning of this next season here at the same time. So I hope you guys are excited for it, because I'm definitely excited to be sharing that as well. On the same note, you can see I'm wearing my Dean Thompson shirt today. I want a big thanks to Dean for those hilarious videos that he tweeted shortly after the championship. I guess it was really around awards week on Twitter. For those of you who don't follow it on Twitter or X or whatever, Dean Thompson had picked up the last car certificates for, I believe they were his roommates. If not roommates, certainly people he's in good contact with. Lawless Allen, Colby Howard, and what was the other one? Gosh, he had three of them. It was Allen, it was Howard. Oh gosh, tip my tongue. I know there was a third one. Oh, Dawson Cram. That was the other one. Yeah, because Cram had the Xfinity one there too. And he had these great videos of posting them there too. Again, I'm glad that went well. I think again, going forward, I'll still be doing the certificates going forward. I don't think presenting them at the track is really working. I really felt like there was kind of a diminishing return there. And what's always been consistent, though, is after producing them and I put them on eBay, they sell out every time. There's always somebody that's interested in them. And I think I realized more, that's more for the fans, for you guys as the viewers, if you're interested in them. Now, if the driver wants them, like the Dean Thompson thing, I'll just give them the same chance as anybody else. Make them bidding auctions, and then if anybody's interested in that, we'll do that. But we'll still stick with it there. But I think as something that's relatively tongue in cheek like that, unless something happens like the awards bank and we get like a quarter for that, I'm not even sure that would work either. But that would be another part of it there. But I was really entertained by that. I thought that was pretty cool. So if you haven't checked out those videos, check out Dean Thompson. I believe it's at Dean Thompson T on Twitter, and he has very good videos on that there at the same time. Let's see here. So let me check as well on the sections. Just kind of checking your other comments here. We continue, Oliver Folsey, you're asking about, will you continue Rise of the Field Fillers into the early 2010s? I would just say stay tuned. Right now, the focus is still going to be basically on the 2004 season here. So we're going to have like Carter Racing coming up. We have other 2004 teams that we have not covered yet. So those are going to be the priority. As to what happens from there, again, just stay tuned there. But I don't have I don't see that series ending this year, even with having a bit more time for it. As I was kind of starting to touch on this as well, again, since I'm going to be kind of focusing much more on the videos, and especially now that the book is out, we'll be doing some book signings hopefully this year. I'll have some more to say about that shortly too. There's going to be a bit less in terms of the trackside coverage I'm anticipating, at least for the Cup Series. Still definitely going to do Sears Point. That's being local. But in terms of doing a lot of traveling, we already knew we were probably not going to do Phoenix this year. So that was kind of something we're going to kind of look at. Our plan is to I got to save up vacation hours at work, save up a bit more money. Definitely from you guys at the Patreon have been a big help with that. And just kind of get something together. And then hopefully what I'd like to do is really string a couple of races together next season there. Whether we can make a bid at the Daytona 500, which we've not done yet, or maybe if some other events. I'd love to do something back on the East Coast again, honestly. There's a lot of business I'd love to take care of in the Charlotte area. I'd love to go visit Sanford again after the JD book. I know I've talked with a couple people about doing something out there. I mean, I've been kicking that down the road a long time already. Yeah, hopefully we can work something out on that. So this year is going to be kind of thin on the ground with traveling in general. But what we're going to do with that time, though, is, again, really beef up this channel here and get some more content out. I've got plenty of scripts I'm working on. Brian Hallman has been providing great material for videos that I've been working on here. I think it's going to be a very good year for this channel here, and especially after getting what happened there with the algorithm deal in the rearview mirror. I think that'll be a good season coming up ahead here. So I hope you guys are going to be enjoying that as well. Yeah. Oh, Josh Ravel. Yep, seeing the comment there as well. That's another good channel for sure. So yeah, I think that's going to be something that's going to be a big focus this year. So we'll do, we'll definitely do Sears Point. Maybe we'll do some local races. I really enjoyed going to the All-American Speedway last year. We might do things like that. Just things within a pretty short driving distance. I think I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty crazy year. I don't know if it's just a little bit of shell shock after 2020, because that turned out to pretty much be, we just had one race that year. But that's almost kind of our same strategy going forward here. But much like 2020, we came back in 2021 and we covered a number of races. That's what we did. We did the Texas All-Star race that year. We linked that up with Sears Point. We went back to Phoenix. We went back to Sears Point. That was a really good year. So I think that's what we're kind of building up for here too. So we're very excited about that and getting that rolling too. So we'll find out. As for the Clash, that's really kind of up in the air. That one's kind of right on the edge. We may do that. We may not do it. I'd love to do it. It was a very exciting event that we covered a couple of years ago. But again, no commitments made or anything on that. So again, worst case scenario, we'll be here to do a live stream after that race, and that'll kind of kick off our 2024 deal here. That's the only issue we've really had is when we do traveling races, it's sometimes hard to really do the stream, certainly to the level of quality that I want to kind of reach here at the same time. So we'll get that set up. So I appreciate you guys' patience on that. But for those of you in the Patreon, you are definitely still going to be getting some advanced access to videos. I even have another script from NASCAR Man that I need to record here as well. I might even record that after the show here tonight. So we're going to be working on that. So we're going to be plenty busy on that too. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I got a couple of comments I need to catch up on down here. Sharon JRM. Yeah, that's true. Thoughts on Brian Vickers? Yeah, not sure. Have we heard anything more on that with the big news? I kind of try to stay out of a lot of that stuff there, but that could certainly be on there. Cash K, thank you for your support, the Patreon as well. I think we had a couple new members this week as well, so big thanks to those of you in the Patreon. If you are interested in that, again, patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock. For those of you who are members, you do know that I do send out new stickers for each year only for Patreon members. I have ordered the 2024 stickers, and those should be coming in next week. So I got a mailing together that I'm working on there. The newsletters, I may just do those once a year. I'm thinking that's going to be the case, unless we have just a lot of like really big news there and another time to do another mailing. We'll see how that goes. But I think the last time I sent one was the spring of last year. So I definitely got to do a new one here. That's probably the next thing I'll be working on. But we'll get that caught up there too. Adam, any news on starting lineup videos for 2024? Yes, I will be doing the Daytona 500. More than likely, it will just be the 500. It was quite a bit of a challenge to do the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series last year. That was because with 500 days, we reached two benchmarks, really, in our goal, which was fantastic. We had a tremendous increase in the Patreon there during 500 days. Everybody really wanted to see those videos, and that was massive there for the site, which is great because the Patreon goes into not just supporting me and offsetting the cost of these trips. It also pays for our staff writers. It pays for the website to stay online. Things of that nature, licensing fees for music. it just keeps keeps all that humming there. So and again, not to make too much of a point of it, because the YouTube part of it does that too. So again, if you're able to just share the videos, that helps too. But yes, for the starting grids, I do want to keep doing the Daytona 500 regardless of where we are on the Patreon. I am planning on doing the 500. I don't have a format set yet. That's going to be another thing I'll be working on here towards the end of the month. And yeah, we'll be doing that right here from Last Car headquarters and doing that. That's always been something I've enjoyed since 2008. And that's the plan. We're just going to keep going with that as well. As to other starting grids, that will depend on if we hit any other goals in the Patreon there. We're a ways from that for now. But again, don't rule it out. We could always do something, whether it's for Truck, Xfinity, or Cup. We have some interesting new venues coming up. If you want me to do the Chicago Street Race, or if you want me to do Championship Weekend, or whatever that comes up there, we can figure that out there too. But again, if you're interested in that, patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock as well. Thank you, Z Weinstein. Thank you very much for your support as well. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos here too. Let's see. Oh, goodness, Michael. I hope you're doing okay. Michael Turner, I saw your comment down here as well. Hope your recovery is going okay there for sure. Let's see. I wonder if the Clash will have a bigger draw with no Fontana this year, Zachary. It's a very good question. I don't know how that's going to shake out. I hadn't thought of that. I know there was a lot of rumbling about maybe making it a points race, but that's completely unworkable. I mean, you just can't you can barely put 20 cars out there, and, one car spins out and everybody just has to stop. That's how quickly things can stack up there very well. It's a very cool venue. I definitely recommend anybody who hasn't checked it out should check it out. We'll see if we do it this year. Who knows? I think it's much better as a night race than it was as a day race. When it was a day race, it kind of felt like there was still more to do. I love that they brought the Mexico series on there and brought their all-stars out. I would hope they would consider bringing an extra car for somebody. So if somebody wins the Mexico race, that they get to transfer into the main event. I think that would be really exciting. I know that's not an original idea myself. I know a lot of people have been suggesting that, and I'm hoping that I just want to keep putting it out there too, because I hope that maybe it does get picked up, which would be which would be really fantastic. But yeah, going to be missing Fontana though. I mean, that was a trip that it was always very effortless to set up. Getting in and out of the track was always nice. The internet signal was touch and go in the infield right up to the end, which was unfortunate. I think that was just another consequence of them being about to be scaled off the schedule. But it's sad to see the pictures and everything of the track being torn up that we've seen, especially since the Phoenix weekend there when they started seeing the pictures from that. But we'll find out. We'll find out what happens on that end. Z Weinstein, I see your other comment here. I've always wondered, for every 1 hour of video, how many hours does it take for production, from storylines, drafts, and editing? I've never really kept track of time on that, and I'm not big on word counts and stuff like that. I just enjoy the process, just kind of putting it together. It seems like, it takes at least a few weeks. And if it were something that I was doing for another site, I guess it would be easier to budget, if it was something I was doing from a workplace or something, if it was for NASCAR or for something like that. But for me, it's always piecemeal. It's a little bit after work, a little bit here and there. I bring a small computer with me after I clock out. I like to work a little bit on a script there. The best times, it seems like I could sit down for 2 hours. That's probably the longest I could sit down and work on a script straight. And then I got to take a break, and I like to kind of walk around and kind of get my thoughts together. And then I can sit down for another 2 hours and really kind of work on it from there. I'm one of those kind of night owls, really. I've actually kind of had to reel in my sleep schedule a little bit, because a lot of times I get hooked on something. I'm the kind of person that if I'm starting to work on it and then I really get some good momentum going, I just want to ride that as long as I can. And then sometimes it gets to be too late at night, and then, I got other obligations that I need to balance with that. And of course, it's not fair to them, so I got to make sure to kind of work that out. I'm not sure how long it takes. I'm trying to kind of reduce that number a little bit, but I don't want to change the quality of the videos too much, because what I really hate is getting in a situation where I put together a video And then I'm like, man, I wish I went into that a lot more. Like the Carl Long thing. Again, I felt like it was a decent cover of that, but I didn't really go into that in Carl's interview, which is why it didn't really get focused that much. But yeah, it had to be in there. So again, I think that's where that video needs to happen. And indeed, that's going to be one of the things I'll be working on there too. But we'll find out there too. We got racing begins on 2 wheels tonight in Anaheim. So there you go. That'll be another one too. Yeah. Oh, Ben. Yeah. Very good point. Yeah. Losing Gilles de Ferran at the same time that Fontana was tore down. Yeah. Uncanny. Just uncanny. Where he set, what was it, 241 mile an hour lap. I mean, just eerie at the same time there too. Hopefully there's something I have no clue what's going on at that track. It kind of came up at Phoenix during the media availability there to confirm that, we've seen pictures of the track being tore up. And basically somebody was asking, Steve Phelps, it's like, can you confirm that the demolition's begun? It's like, well, yeah, it has. You can see the pictures of it. I've as to what's going to happen, I have no idea. I'd love to see if they'd still have racing down there. I think it's a very accessible area. It is very developed. I told you guys about this after we had our last trip there for the finale. The development in the area is so dense that when we had the rain delay, as we had a lot during that weekend with rain and snow and all that, you could literally leave the infield, drive like 2 blocks away, and there'd be like a Miracle Mile. Like, you have fast food places, you'd have sit-down restaurants, you'd have all that. And you could get back there within like an hour, if that. Unthinkable for most tracks. I mean, you go to like Sonoma, for example, Sears Point, and it may be in the Bay Area, but the road that you got to take to get there, Ben, you know about this too, is like way out there. There's no amenities in the immediate radius of it. Certainly not within walking distance, and within driving distance, it takes a little while to get there if you're going to go back towards Vallejo, or if you're going to go up Petaluma direction or anything like that. So it's a very different atmosphere there. I think it'd be a great area to still have a track in the Fontana area. I mean, again, I've enjoyed coming down there. We were very late to the going. We just started covering that, I think, in 2018. It was one that I thought was a very unique track and an interesting to see really during the evolution, this latest evolution of the car. It seemed to really put on a good show with the next gen car. But just wasn't meant to be, I suppose, and that's sad to see. It's an entity. I had a discussion. Harris Liu was posting about having a time where you just kind of stepped out of the sport for a while and talking about being interested in other things. And for me, I was interested in ocean liners back in the mid 90s. I grew up learning about the Titanic disaster. I have a book, a kid's book when I was like 7 or 8 years old, that my mom found over at a drugstore back in the late 80s. And it just captivated my interest there. And, you read the Dr. Ballard books. I mean, his discovery of the ship was just a few years before that in 85. It was just, I lived for those National Geographic documentaries. And there was about a time, I would say, between mid 1995 and mid 1998, where I didn't really watch that many races. I watched a few, but I wasn't like, every single lap like I do now, or certainly doing the NASCAR coverage or anything afterwards. So that was a very different experience. So, I don't know if you guys have had a similar experience to that. But for me, that was it. And unfortunately, there's some parts of that. I guess the fortunate thing is I can watch a lot of races from that time period. And it's like the first time for me. It's like something I hadn't experienced before. But I remember mid 98, I think the turning point was when Ricky Rudd won Martinsville in September of 98. We had another ocean liner themed vacation. We actually went to England, and we visited Southampton, and we visited went to Ireland and went to Kinsale, which was where off of which is where the Lusitania was sunk and torpedoed in 1915. And you can see the monuments and memorials there. I mean, that was very much something I followed much more closely. The Titanic movie came out around that time in 97. We went on a cruise in 95. It was just something that I just got more into again, and was interesting. And that's something I've noticed. I know, obviously, on this show here and any other things, you're going to see just the NASCAR content. But, I mean, there's other things, especially historical context, that I really can be into. And that was one other part of it there, too. So yeah, that was kind of a period, so really the ascendancy of Jeff Gordon, by the time I got back into it in 98, he was just unstoppable. And he was, winning his 13th race at Atlanta at the end of the year. And I remember in 99 and 2000 and 2001, going to college that year, yeah, just being like I still didn't watch Busch and truck races regularly, but I watched like every Cup race, and those I remember very clearly. That was definitely a time period where it was almost like enjoying it for the first time, which is kind of strange. But I mentioned it with Harris because I know he was talking about like having a period in the sport where he didn't follow it as much and he was interested in something else. And I think that's kind of cool. You can always have something. I mean, I've been into coin collecting before. I did a thesis on disaster films in the 1970s. I'm not the most worldly person out there. I've just had a couple of interests that occupy a lot of time, and there's not a way to combine them, or there's not a way to find a middle ground between them. So what'll end up happening is I'll be like into this thing and I just kind of park the other ones, and then I kind of go back to that after a while. I mean, I just, I can't focus that much attention on the multiple parts of it here. But really, especially, I would say, since 2011, 2012, thereabouts, it's been much more the focus on just racing exclusively. And again, it kind of reflects in just how you remember certain races too. So that would be it. But yeah, it wasn't the 5 championships for Jimmy Johnson. I made it through all those, and the one after when Stewart finally broke through. That was quite the experience. It just seemed like just nobody could touch him, much like Jeff Gordon in the late 90s was. And I remember, much like with Gordon, where Ray Evernham was about to leave and start the Dodge team, and he had Brian Weitzel and Robbie Loomis come on as crew chief, and then Gordon was struggling. He was starting to get in kind of wrecks and stuff. And Jimmy went through kind of the same thing, where when his championship streak ended. I mean, he did still end up pulling off those 2 more titles, but it was in a very different way, really. So it was kind of interesting to see how all that shook out. So that was, yeah, I mean, that was kind of more my experience too. I don't know. I remember how exactly I got on that angle, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Z Weinstein. Yeah, exactly. Sears Point having a curfew is kind of bizarre because yeah, it's very remote, and you wouldn't think there would be anything. For those of you not from the Bay Area here, you would think there wouldn't be any place remote in that area because you see how populated San Francisco is. You see Oakland and Berkeley and these other big cities. But yeah, just on the North Bay there, you go across the Golden Gate Bridge and it's a whole other world. It's like when you go to upstate New York versus New York City. It's almost that kind of a shift. And yeah, you get to the wineries in Napa and Sonoma County and so forth. Yeah, it's a very different world. And then, where we are here, we're over in the foothills, the Sacramento direction. That is very different from where Sears Point is. To the point where, actually we used to just drive from home to go to the racetrack. Now we're a little bit too far from there, so we're going to pretty much stay at a hotel this next year. But that's going to be kind of the plan. So that'll be something to look at going forward there too. Oh, you get restrictions limited, Michael. Okay, good. No, thank you for clarifying that. Certainly hope that, hope that recovery goes well for you there too. I don't know. Yeah, road courses, Tom, you raised a very good point. I mean, road courses work well on TV, but if you go to one, it can be a ginormous waste of money. I mean, that's possible. It depends on the track. I think Sears Point has some very good sight lines. If you go to the top of turn 2, I still think that's probably the best viewing spot to see the highest portion of the track, especially since they're going back to the chute. By the way, they're repaving the track now, which is also exciting. I mean, that's going to be something crazy. I don't remember the last time they even did that. I know the pavement's very rough. You've seen some of the diecast pictures I've taken in turn 11, and that's like one of the most, well-worn parts of the track from the braking zone and everything. And it's just like, it looks like, just no flat surface in the area at all. I mean, you put the car there and it's kind of wonky like this. I'll be curious how much smoother it looks here. I'm going to definitely do diecast pictures again this year and see if we get a good comparison from one to the next. I anticipate we'll probably have something closer to what we saw at the Clash a couple of years ago when, of course, they had to build that track from scratch. Um, but yeah, at Sears Point, if you get to the top of turn 2, you get this wonderful view down into kind of the valley there, because it's basically the track is splashed on the side of a hill, so you want to be at the highest point on the track as possible. Turn 3 is actually higher than turn 2, but I think you get a better view from 2 because you get that view of that hill coming up there, exiting turn 1 and coming back up. It's not as fast as it used to be because they put that concrete barrier there. I still think they should get rid of that. I think it's not worth having even a safer barrier there. You just got to have some extra runoff because the cars go into that corner so much faster. But now you kind of create a part where they have to kind of really tiptoe through there at that point. But still, the hill up to turn 2 can be really cool to see. And then you can also see them going into turn 7, which is the other big braking zone. And you see a lot of the S's. You still see really how uneven those are, how the radius of them, each corner is different, and how the slope of them is different. And then they kind of disappear into turn 10, which is another really treacherous spot. And you don't really see turn 11. That's the one big flaw with Sears Point, and I'm glad they're starting to fix that, is that no publicly available seat gives you a really good view of turn 11, which is strange, right? Because that's the signature corner. Even if you're in that infield between turns 12 and 11, where the souvenir haulers are, it's still hard to see turn 11 very well, because then you have the big timing and scoring building from drag racing there, and that kind of blocks your view. So you have kind of some issues with that. You can see it a little bit, but it's not a very good view. What they need to have, it would be nice if they put grandstands in turn 11, but that whole section has always been some sort of hospitality section. Used to be Save Marts would always put tents out there because they were, of course, the title sponsor of the race going back to 1992. Nowadays, they have a very nice building there with a nice deck. But again, it's still like, a VIP access. It's not publicly available access. It would be nice if you just have people kind of float in and out of there, but then that defeats the purpose of it being VIP access, and I get that. And NASCAR is one of the biggest draws. I think NHRA still draws bigger numbers, but that's going to be a different thing there too. It'd be nice if you can get a better view of it, because I love standing at the entrance of the garage area at turn 11. That's kind of my standpoint. So a lot of the videos you'll see, especially the last couple of years, that's where I'm standing. And it's really cool because the wall is maybe only about this tall. So you got to stand pretty far back from it. Security gets pretty tight. They don't want a lot of people standing in that area. And now lately with that VIP building, they put another big TV screen there so that they can see that. I mean, somebody standing at the base of it's not going to be in the way of it, but they still have people kind of set up in such a way that it's not, it's still something that I guess they just, keep a close eye on or whatever. But I always like looking there because then that's always one of the main entrances into the garage area, of course, for the case of the last place deal. But I'm very excited about the way the track's going to look like when it's repaved. I think for different tracks, you may have a very different experience. I think even a track like Road America, where it's a very, very big track and there's no way in heck you're going to see the whole track from any one spot. I think the one spot you get is usually pretty exciting. I've seen some videos from that track where the straightaway speeds is just really crazy. And then if you have like a screen that shows you what's happening for the rest of it, you get kind of the best of both worlds. Watkins Glen was kind of like that too. I think the top of the grandstands in turn 10, if you're in the top part and you look back, you can see the backstretch pretty well. The topography there is much flatter than it is at Sears Point, which I think is why the track is so much faster. Obviously, you do have that downhill slope into turn 1, which is always very treacherous. But yeah, some of these tracks still have good sight lines. And I think the ones that maybe don't have as good of a view, like Road America, the atmosphere looks really nice. And William Saki, one of our writers, can attest to this better because that's his home track. But it always looks like they have this beautiful picnic-like atmosphere that's really exciting to see. And I think that would be something that'd be really welcoming for fans in general. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I would always give a road course a try. If you've never been to a road course, I always recommend it. And I think Sears Point, it's becoming. I really like what Jill Gregory and the staff there are doing to really modernize the facility and bring it up. The paving was another big step. Obviously the Turn 11 building and yeah, hopefully I think the next step probably should be some kind of way to make it easier, to make the track even easier to access. I know that they have shuttles that allow you to get from one part of the track pretty well, and the shuttle drivers there are really cool. They can actually get you there pretty quick. In 2021, I went from the garage area all the way over to turn 7 where Last Bro was sitting, and I got there, I don't think even 5 minutes, like middle of the race, which is crazy. So I think that, that's going to be something to look at. And 611 Hornet, you really do raise a point, though. I mean, the other part of the puzzle there is, what's going to be happening with the cars? Are there going to be more? It's bizarre to think of them not having a good road course package since they seem to have taken so much inspiration from endurance cars. Again, I guess that's something they're still going to have to be working on. I thought we had a solid race last year at Sears Point. I wouldn't say it was the most exciting one. Again, I've seen way worse too. I wish they would be more eager to keep the restrict the stage cautions, because I think even at Watkins Glen, and I know a lot of people kind of dump on that race there at the same time. I think that the competition was decent. I liked that the pit stops actually had consequences. Much like, especially at the Indy Road course too, but Watkins Glen as well. Anybody had like a long pit stop or just the wrong strategy, and then they just didn't have a caution to catch them, they would fall from contention. It's like, well, yeah, that would happen. That's kind of traditionally what would happen at a road course. Suddenly your strategy is screwed up, or maybe a caution comes out. It's like, does this help us? Does this hurt us? That gets to be really interesting. I think it was even clearer at the Indy Road course. Not only the fact that Michael McDowell dominated that race, and it was cool to see a driver dominate that's not known for it, but really, I mean, when you had other drivers like Suarez, who was also very good that day, and then he had a bad pit stop, and you saw the effect of it. You could see that, he was X number of seconds behind, and he wasn't going to be able to get back up there. I think that's exciting. I think that, it really kind of puts everyone to the test. And not every race plays out the same way. Some races are going to have 15 cautions. Some races aren't going to have any. That's the way it used to be. I think if NASCAR gets back to that and becomes okay with that again, that would be great. But we'll see what happens on that. But I like Watkins Glen. I'd like to be able to cover that again one of these days. The last time was certainly more focused on the JD book, as well as it should have been, of course, when we had Linda McDuffie and Charlie Birch and everybody up there. Again, maybe that'll be something we'll look into for 2025. I'm not sure. That'll be something to see. But we'll be doing a lot more, remote stuff this year. And, we'll just figure it out. But I think we'll do some book signings as well. And I just got to get that worked out and figure out where those are going to be. And, that'll be fun. Let's see. Definitely remind me, again, any other news? Let me see on this. I'm just kind of checking from here. I was hearing a bit about the Claire B. Lang deal. That was sad to hear that she's parted ways with SiriusXM. Again, as I mentioned the other day, I mean, I know she's having it sounds like she's having some stuff she's dealing with her family and everything, and certainly hope that everything's for the best on that. But again, consummate professional. And, thinking back to the JD thing, I mean, my goodness, she was, we had so many obstacles trying, we couldn't get into the media center, credentials didn't go through. We had other problems, even getting Linda McDuffie into the track. If my brother didn't buy a ticket, we weren't going to be able to get her in. Like, that was how crazy things turned out to be. Luckily, we had another team step up, and we were able to kind of work that out. But, just a crazy time during that. But one of the few media members that really came out to do an interview and actually follow up with me about this book was Claire. And she's got a great eye for stories there, and one of the hardest working people out there. I mean, it's very rare, even when I strap on my running shoes and all that, it's very rare that I could beat her to getting out to the infield care center or when a car pulls in. She's there already. She's got there with her equipment ready to go and everything. So, hopefully she lands somewhere. I mean, I don't know if that's her plan with what she's dealing with there and everything. But I feel the same feeling that I had when Pockrass lost his deal there before he got picked up by Fox. Any network would be very lucky to have her on the group there, and I'm sure she will. And she's bred, I'm sure, so many fantastic connections in the garage area and in the media sphere. I'm sure she'll do well. She doesn't. That'll work out. At least I hope so. Because I think what she contributes to the media landscape is that valuable, honestly. And hopefully things work out on that end. So we'll find out. Let's see. We talk about SVG to Xfinity. No, we do not talk about that Death Killer. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, that's exciting. We got this deal with Colleague and Trackhouse. Trackhouse has just got its hands in everything now. All of a sudden, I mean, it's going to be. I'm starting to worry that they're expanding a little bit too quick here. But I mean, then again, SVG stock is definitely high up enough here. I mean, he's going to run a limited Cup schedule, and he's running the full Xfinity schedule. That's great. I was always going to say, like, oh man, he's not going to run Sears Point, but then I remembered we have an Xfinity race now, so he will be running Sears Point. So that's good. I'm going to be excited to follow that storyline among the others during that race weekend there as well. More power to him. I think the paint scheme looks cool. I like a good white paint scheme or white accents there. I think they got a neat deal there. I understand his diecast was finally released in 64 scale for his Chicago winner, which is great. Hopefully they've made good sales on that as well. I think it's going to be really exciting too. Walker King, ever been to the Indy 500? Never have. I thought about doing it this year. That's another thing that I kind of had a stretch on that. I'm thinking like, well, okay, can we do something like maybe what I'd love to do, if time and money were no object, I would do like the All-Star race at Wilkesboro, which has also been repaved, and then go to the Indy 500 the next week. Oh man, that would be good. Oh, that would be good. I would love to see what Larson can do. I think especially after SVG won Chicago, if Larson could even have a good showing in it like Kurt Busch had in the Indy 500, and my goodness, I mean, can we even think about the possibility of him winning? Massive for the sport and for everybody. I mean, I'm not the biggest Larson fan out there, although I am a fan of the paint scheme. I think the car he's running for the 600 that weekend, with that extra accent, that papaya orange there for the McLaren team, it's so pretty. Oh, it's so nice. It should be the regular paint scheme for Larson's car. As much as I like the Ricky Hendrick tribute, and I know why it looks the way it looks with the red and the blue and the 5 and all that, that extra accent with the orange, oh, it's so nice. I bought the shirt just because of that. I think it's a really, really, really nice car. And if it runs well too, that'll be exciting. I mean, the Indy 500 is really, I know, and I'll defer to David Land, and I saw his video on it about the status of IndyCar and what's going on with Honda and all that. I don't really have anything to contribute on that. I hope things work out and level heads prevail. But it's frustrating because I think the Indy 500 is going through one of the best eras it's ever had. I would say since 2010, 2011, every one of them has been just legendary with, the crowds as big as they've ever been, except of course 2020, but even that one had its share of storylines there. And, I like how the track handled it for people that were consecutive attendees, that they didn't count that one. I just think that, it's hopefully whatever happens, I mean, they build it around the Indy 500 and it's remains a marquee event and drawing in what it draws in, because I think it's been fantastic. I don't follow open wheel racing as closely. I'd love to do the Indy 500 one day. I think that would be massive. We almost did it last year. You had a deal kind of fall through on that. Just didn't work in my schedule there, but we almost had something worked out on that. We'll see. If you guys are interested in that, we could do some coverage there and see who finishes in last. I know our William Saki has been doing the last place coverage there for the Indy 500 as part of his Indy coverage there as well. So we've been having that. So we'll find out how that works. But fingers crossed on that as well. Let's see here. Just thinking about some other stuff on that. Kind of checking out the other comments. Oh wow, we're already well past an hour here. Let's go into our show and tell segment. I have something very special for here. And Ben, I know you've seen a glimpse of this, but nobody's seen the full version. Those of you in the Patreon have seen a glimpse of this as well. Building on this past November, we have, of course, the lastcard.info website. You notice right now, if you go to lastcard.info, you get an error page that says the site's been set to private. Well, a very good reason for that. Last November, last October, really, right before we went to championship weekend, I got an email from Google that said that Google wasn't going to maintain their own domains anymore, which is a problem because I bought my lastcard.info domain from Google. And I did that because I thought, well, Google's not going to go anywhere, or if they do, it's not going to be for a while. I thought this back in 2009 when I started the site. And so, of course, the website's been on there. It's through the Blogger interface, so it had a very basic setup, had just the articles on the page, and that's the way the website has been designed. And that's been the same way I've maintained it all the way through our Phoenix coverage. When I got this notice, and they said they were transferring their service to Squarespace, I was like, okay, well, here's what we got to do. So I went over through the steps, got the domain transferred to Squarespace, paid the fees, registered the thing and all that, got the website up. And the problem with it, though, is I didn't realize that the formatting for the website didn't transfer over. Luckily, the content did. The articles are there on lastcard.info, but you still have to build a new website around it. I'm like, I don't know how to build a website. I've just this really basic blog and all that. I know that Squarespace had templates, but I didn't know where to start. We well, I don't know how much I can go into this, but let me just say I tried one approach, and that did not work out. So we had to cut that off, and basically I went back into just building it myself. So, and luckily, through the help of some YouTube videos here that actually explained how to do it, it made it so much easier to understand, which was fantastic. So, I actually have a draft of the new website ready to go right now. Would you like to see it? Would you like to see it? I think you would like to see it. Let me pull this up here, and let me make sure it shows up. I have it pulled up on the second screen here. So, it would probably be a good idea to remind you what the old website looked like. Let's do that first. Let's do that. Oh, and of course, I'm loading that, and the pictures aren't loading. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we go. Let's go here. Okay, we'll just have me off the screen. And okay, so here's the old website. So this is basically the same way we had it since I think we kind of went with the black and white. At least, oh gosh, when did I put the new logo on there? That was maybe 2013, 2014, kind of in that range. Before that, I think really the grid format here was about the same. It had I did like the NASCAR version of the website. And yeah, just the articles right on the main page. You see the latest one. We got Ben's feature here on, let me get the right clicker here. Ben's article on Bobby Hillis Jr. here, the last place finisher of the ARCA West race there. And again, yeah, just black and white. We got the champions graphics, got the store page. We got everything here. And yeah, we just got the same old graphics on this. I'm going to mute the chat box here. Just because I'm going to need more room here. Okay, here we go. And so what we're going to do is you can kind of see, we got all these little boxes here on the side, and it's kind of cluttered. It's a little hard to see it all. Or if you're reading the article, you got all this other stuff on the right side of the screen that's kind of blocking your view. I crammed it all like this so that when you opened it in the mobile version, it would still work pretty well. So that was the way the site has been going up to this point. But now, check this out. Check this out. Boom. So now we're going to fill the whole page with the website here. I really should put my monitor on here too, but that's okay. You can't really see the page if I put anything else on the screen. So here is the new Last Card Info page, and I may actually debut it here this weekend. It's still got a couple of things that I need to add to it. But I think some of the things I need to add, I need to actually make the site go live before I can finish it here. But this is going to be the new last car page. Now, again, nothing's locked in. And again, we can keep tweaking the format here if things don't work out. One thing you'll notice is we got a new ticker on here. I have this set up for any new stories that come across here. So these, of course, have the Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series storylines from Phoenix. We also have a little picture deal here. These are other last place finishers that I've covered here in the past. So we got Landon Castle. We got Ray Cicerelli's truck from Mosport. Yaley there at Sears Point. Bubba Wallace at Phoenix. We got that epic last place battle between Bailey Curry and Jordan Anderson at Texas. That was incredible. So, little things like this to kind of just kind of customize it so you can kind of change this out and see how you'd like it there. So we have the header up there. We have, we'll pull up the articles and then hang on. It's not supposed to do that. There we go. See, again, it's still got some bugs to work out here. Let's see. Oh, my goodness. Hang on, folks. Maybe I should get this loaded up the right time. I think it logged me out of the Squarespace page while I did this. Hang on. Let me get that pulled back up. We'll get this on here. It's not going to just have the web page there on the main page. All right. I was about to make comparisons to like when they debut a new iPhone or something. I guess it's pretty appropriate because then sometimes that doesn't work either. Come on. Something went wrong. Yeah, I can see that. It should load. Oh my goodness. Okay, I have to just reload it here. It does this sometimes. Oh my goodness. I think this is probably my VPN that's doing this. We're going to try. All right, are we good? Preview. Okay, now does the article link work this time? Yes. Whoop. And now it's logging out my screen. Oh my goodness. I think this is almost like the site works except for when it's raining. All right. We'll call this this is like when what was that line from Jurassic Park? Yeah, like they opened Disneyland and not everything worked either. And it's like, well, nobody was going to get eaten by the Pirates of the Caribbean. All right, let's see here. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, I'm just going to we'll jump back into this. We'll bring the second screen back up. Okay, here we go. So here's the article page. So this is probably the one part that's still going to take a while to fill in because these pictures, I had to reload them. Okay, and now that screen's blinking out. We'll just leave that. It's still showing it here. So we got the pages pulled up on here. And yeah, we got the articles. I'm kind of going with this soft red color. We'll see how that works if people prefer a different color because we had it just white before. But I know other people view the websites in dark mode. So I definitely want to make sure that, the site is, readable as way as possible. So I try to kind of find a middle ground of something that's not too hard to look at. Certainly don't want like those blues, like, the bright blue colors there. But then, yeah, you can pull up the articles here. And right now the headers are really big and the pictures are really small. But that's because of the way the articles are formatted before. But yep, same articles from before here. This is Chris Hacker's feature from the Truck Series race there. And again, there's probably ways to like, if you use dark mode in your browser, it should still pull up well enough, but that'll be another one to kind of look at. And there. And then we have links at the top of the page here. We got links to the store, which is the eBay page, which is, of course, also not loading correctly. There it is. And then also to the Patreon here. So basically just what I wanted to do is create like a main hub so that you didn't have to save like a bunch of links. If you just go to the last car page, it'll have everything, including the videos, the Patreon, and everything in between. So you'll have all that. We'll go back to the main page here. So again, the main page is where the biggest changes are. So again, since the articles are going to be behind this link and you'll find them that way, you can scroll down through here. Big thanks to Luis Torres, who took this great picture of me trying to interview Ryan Preece after he was disqualified from winning that West race at Sears Point a few years ago. The pictures, okay, are not loading again, so let's refresh that again. And get that pulled up. And then we got the championship graphics down here, much bigger. We got the last car stat pages here. So we got, again, the same thing, Cup Series, Xfinity trucks. We got my car number. These are the links I need to activate once the site actually goes live. So that'll be on there. Again, we got the championship graphics. We got links to the video channel here. And if it feels like loading everything, my goodness. Okay, we're going to have to make this go live just to make it actually load everything. Okay. Ads for this stream here. We got ads to the first episodes of both 500 Days and Rise of the Field Fillers. So you can find that on the main page. We got ads for the books. Okay, you know what? We're just going to make it go live. Let's do this because I'm getting tired of this thing. All right, publish it. It's start. Okay. Close. No, we're not doing lastcar.org. Okay. Alrighty. So let's see. Let's go. Does this actually work? We're going to test this. Probably shouldn't be doing this live, but we're going to test it anyway. Boom. There it is. Okay, good. All right. So now it actually loads. I'm sure I'm going to have to keep working the bugs out of this here. But we got, okay, so we got the championship graphics. We got the last car stat pages. Need to activate those. And the video links. And the monitor is going out. All right. So, again, we got the links to the books. We got all that set up here as well. We got links for that. So, again, just kind of have everything in one place, and they'll make it way easier. We got the links to the store and to the Patreon down here. And then we got all of our writers right here. Ben, I know we're still working on getting the biographies and all that together. So these pictures may change as well. I just had these as placeholders so we could update those along the way. And then we got the article archive down here. So everything's still sorted by month. Down to the page, we got the definition of the last place finisher that we always had for the website. Mailing address, you got the old header from the old website down here and the racing experts also among those contributing pictures to the page. So that is the new look for the last car page. Why are the videos not loading? The videos need to load. Okay, good. There they are. So I'm hopeful in order to get the Squarespace transfer in place. I'm hopeful this is going to work well here for the page. Yeah, we're going to get this all set up here. And I need to finish putting the links in there. But yeah, if you go to lastcar.info now, you'll see the new version of the page. And we'll get these links right now aren't active for this, but it's just a matter of a couple clicks. I need to fix that. So I'll fix that after the show here tonight. And you'll see that. I also want to make it so this ticker is clickable as well, so it directs you to the articles page, and then you can actually see the past stories there. So yeah, this is what the new page is going to look like. And my monitor is still going out. Oh my goodness. All right, there we go. Yeah, so the only thing that's probably still going to be filled in, yeah, I got a couple links that need to be put on there. And these pictures, if you go back to like really old articles, it still doesn't have them. This loads these like 12 at a time. We got a couple pages of the pictures on there. I want to get all of them in there. That's going to take some time, but there's no use holding the website up to get those up there. They'll all be in there. And again, still organized by categories. You can see the ARCA features, the Cup, the previews, and everything else. And yeah, that's going to be the thing there. So we're definitely putting more effort into the site itself and trying to make it look as good as possible here going forward. So again, these are kind of the focuses for this season. Let me turn the chat box on. I think it's still on. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, we're just going to get that set up there. And again, really getting more attention on the videos, more attention on the website, and just kind of reinforcing everything on that, too. Yeah, monitor doing a decent Xfinity broadcast. It is. I don't know what keeps... It was working great. I'll tell you, we were doing a lot of setup here before the show tonight, to get the camera pointed the right way, to get this all hooked up. And of course, at the moment, that's when it's not going to work. But that's okay. Live TV, everyone. But we got all that set up there. So we got a new look to the website. Again, definitely let me know, don't hold back any comments or any issues you're having with the site. Let me know. I want to make sure it looks as good as possible, and make it as accessible as possible. And all that. As for the old web page, we'll keep the old one up. There's really no reason. I don't have the heart to delete it. But we'll keep the old one up there at least, as a bookmark. I'm sure we'll have a redirect on the main page, for that. I think the links within the articles, I still need to get that set up to make sure they still divert to other articles, because I know I did that a lot. I know that Ben and Williams articles are the same way too. So that'll be another thing to kind of look at the same time. But we'll get that set, and then what I really wanted is have something more dynamic. So if like a new big story came up, like first last place finish for a certain driver, or like we had with the thing with Chris Hacker, first time the number 30 finished last, kind of put that on there too. And that way it'll kind of sync up well with the Twitter feed, the YouTube, and so forth. And so I hope you guys enjoy that, and you can check that out as well. As again, it's live right now. I need to make like a little little icon next to the website there. I haven't done that yet. I'll probably do one with like the little car. I need to figure out how to do that. I might hire somebody for that, but we'll figure that out down the line. That'll be that's not something as important as the functionality. So I'm just looking at the website here. Is there anything else? Okay, just making sure there's nothing else the site is having me do. Everything should be active. I've already transferred the domain. That was the big thing. I mean, this has been a literal crash course getting this thing set up here. But the advantage is like I'm really pleased with, again, some of the other sites and stuff to kind of help get the site ready to go. So that's been really enjoyable. So we get that going, get the site up there, and then hopefully things will. I still need to practice. That's gonna be the next thing too. Now that it's active, practicing putting new links and new articles on the webpage there too. How that's gonna work out. That's going to be basically the next step. So it's been busy. It's been busy here at Last Car Headquarters. I'll tell you what. So we'll have that too. So let me get this here at the same time. So we'll go ahead and wrap up with some trivia here at the same time. If you guys have any other questions, any other news stories that I haven't covered on here, because I know it's been just a real jam-packed couple of months here, but definitely let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to cover here in the meantime, and then we will talk about that. Let me close that out. I think the icon is just like a Minecraft block here at the website, so we'll have to update that with something, but we'll figure that out. Okay, good. I'm just glad the video links popped up. I don't know why it didn't pop up initially. I know that the site looks a little different when it shrinks and so forth. And yes, and the other thing too, you didn't see it on there, but if you check out the mobile version, if you pull out your phone right now, actually, I'm going to do this right now. This would probably be a good time as any to check. Oh gosh, the Steelers won. Wow. Okay, right on. Bills need to win tomorrow. That's that. Check this out. We got, hang on. We have the new online version of the website here too, with an actual drop-down menu that looks like it's working. So it's got that. We have like better functionality. Ooh, I like how it has like the actual links to the Twitter at the bottom of the page. So we'll get that going. I didn't plan on this show being the launch thing for it, but I think it's actually better to do it. But again, it's got the same thing. We got the graphics much bigger, much easier to see. The stats pages, again, I'll have those updated soon. They're not active yet, but they will be. We got the videos. We got the ad for Behind the Wall. We got the ad for the books. We got the store page, the Patreon. We got the pictures, and then the archive. And basically the same interface. Kind of wanted to stick with the same black, red, and white color scheme there of the page, and I think that works pretty well. And even the picture archive is searchable, which is neat. Even on this small version, you can still leaf through this and see some of these pictures. And I'm planning on making this customizable, may add pictures or remove others, especially his other last place ones. We got Denny Hamlin at Sears Point here. And from this past year, there's David Gilliland had a encounter with a tire barrier there a couple of years ago. So yeah, we got those all listed there too. And yeah, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out on that. So thank you again for those of you, both those of you supporting both the Patreon and sharing these videos, because you were definitely helpful in allowing that to come together. So, and also definitely big thanks. Where's that YouTube channel? I want to make sure I want to give that guy a shout out too, because his video was very practical in terms of figuring it out. It came down to a matter of don't click this, click that. And I got to find out who that was. I want to give him a shout out while I'm on the stream here. It was, looking at the favorites, Santrell Media did a video called How to Build a Website in 15 Minutes. Doggone it, it took 15 minutes and it was ready to go. We had about 90% of it. At least we had the template picked, and things started to fix. So Santrell Media on YouTube, give him a follow. He did had very common sense approach to setting up the website there too. Let's see, Copper Cookie question about the next Field Fillers episode. That is one of the episodes I'm working on. I have 3 different video scripts in the works. One of them is a Rise of the Field Fillers episode. It is going to be shorter because it's actually a third part to the Carl Long video. I'm hopeful that since it's shorter, it'll take less time to produce. I'd love to have it done by the end of the month. I'm not sure if it's just about ready to be recorded. And once it's recorded, it comes down to just editing and finishing it off. So we're very close on that too. No tires, just gas. Also, you may have missed this earlier, but I am planning on doing the 2024 Daytona 500 starting grid video on this channel. So that is the plan there. I'm planning on sticking with that for the foreseeable future. We won't be doing the Truck Series and Xfinity Series. It was a little too difficult to kind of cram all 3 of those in there, and I think that affected the quality of the work product there. So we're just going to stick with the 500 and have fun with that. I think that's going to be the plan. And that's the big draw anyway. That's the special event there too. So hopefully we'll have some big stories to cover in that one. It is a rainy day here at Last Car Headquarters. I don't know if you can pick it up on I know the microphone seems really sensitive today. I'm noticing it picks up when I'm moving my arm on this chair. So you can probably hear the rain outside a little bit. But we'll finish up with some trivia questions here tonight. So we'll go back to the late 1990s deal here, and we'll do some questions on this. Again, the categories are NASCAR pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Let me know which category you'd like, and we'll do some questions from that to wrap up the show this evening, and we'll go from there. Let me mute this for a sec. Alrighty. So again, the categories are NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Yep. We may get to hear it's the money. We mean, here come the money. There you go. That's too good of a clip there. We're hearing, I mean, there's a couple of teams. I'm intrigued by Bob Pockrass's tweets there, where it sounds like he hasn't heard too much about any of the other open teams. Are we going to see the 3 friends come out? Last I heard, they were still at Phoenix. They're talking with Brad Perez and stuff. It sounded like they were still planning on coming into the series this year. I don't know one way or the other if Daytona was on their schedule. Hopefully, things shake out there. We're going to find out on that end. Are we going to see Carl? Are we going to see John Cohen? Are we going to see, it sounds like the money team, maybe. Who they're going to be with, I don't know. That's going to be a big question, but we're going to find out. You got sleet over there. No tires, just gas. Okay. Yeah, I could hear. Yeah, we got a little bit of rain. Yeah, pretty steady rain. We had to. It's at least enough rain where you got to bundle up to grab the mail. I mean, our mail's up at the top of a hill near our place here, so it's a little bit of a challenge out there. But you get your steps in, I'll tell you that much. All right, I see 3 for teams. Let's do teams here. Alrighty, first question of the evening. Who built most of Richard Petty's winning engines? Who built most of Richard Petty's winning engines? Who built most of Richard Petty's winning engines? Yeah, we'll keep the old site up there. I think that's going to be a good idea because then, even if anything else, like that'll give you the ability to like find an older article and then you can search it just in case the links don't work. I think I can update the links, but that's going to be something else I'm going to toy with. But yeah, we reached pretty much the limit of what I could edit without getting the site live. So I don't mind doing a soft. Let's do a soft Disneyland like opening here, and just see people filter in there. And if they're like, oh man, I can't read this, or it's like, oh, it's too hard to look at, we'll know how to fix it pretty quick. And then we'll do a grand opening much closer to when the season starts. That should have been my plan to begin with there, but I think that'll work well. And yeah, well, we're gonna have our new digital headquarters here. The question once again: who built most of Richard Petty's winning engines? Is the question. We got Maurice Petty, Dale Inman, Jack or Luke Hughes. Predictions for last car championship this year? No tires, just guess. I don't know. I think it's pretty wide open this year. We got what Ty Dillon's going to be in the Truck Series now for Rackley War, which I think is a good move. I think it's a very good decision. I think he's a driver that needs to get his confidence back. Justin Allgaier went through the same thing. AJ Allmendinger went through the same thing. The conveyor belt between the top three series, it needs to be maintained. If you have drivers that, are coming in and they want to take their shot at it with, even with the, limited number of starting spots, you're going to necessarily have some people work their way back down there. I think Dillon probably would have been okay in the Xfinity series too, although he did struggle a bit in that. And that's where he was very outspoken about, kind of the mental side of racing during that. I remember when he was struggling with the Gibbs effort. So yeah, maybe a step back to the Truck Series. If he goes in there and he's, as good as he had been in ARCA or in his truck career, I think that would be a good move. So I hope that works out for him. He's a good kid. I hope he does well, for sure. I mentioned him because I think he was very big in the last car standings this year versus BJ McLeod. We know that BJ is going to be scaling back to a part-time effort, and it's very possible that he'll have other drivers in the car. We don't know that yet. We don't know if it's going to be just BJ in there. We know that Matt Tifft is looking into his own efforts, which is kind of interesting too. I expected that to kind of continue through the charter thing. It sounds like now Tifft is kind of working on rebuilding his own driving career here too. Is it going to be, which drivers are going to be running there, which, how often, or is it going to be just BJ McLeod in the cars? That'll be something interesting to find out. But because of that, those are basically your top two contenders from this year in the Cup Series. It's going to be very hard to think of who's going to be the next contender. I think what you have to think about is who's going to be the one that's going to be struggling a lot. I stand by this, that I said this earlier. I think that Carson Hocevar is probably going to struggle more than John Hunter Nemechek will in the Cup Series because John Hunter's had more Cup experience than Hocevar. Yes, he did struggle in that 38 car for front row, but pretty much anybody who gets in that car seems to struggle because the 34 is the flagship and the 38, is doing the best it can. And every once in a while having some good runs, as we saw out of Todd last year, both at the duels at Daytona and the fall, I think the fall race at Talladega. There was a spring race. There was one race at Talladega. He had the Georgia Peanuts car, and he was very, very fast in that, and that was impressive. And then I was thinking fall Talladega because that's where you had Riley Herbst in the 36 car, and he had a very good run. So it's not to say the front row can't put multiple competitive cars out there, especially in a super speedway race. But I think Hocevar, I'm not entirely convinced about Spire Motorsports. I think, I think this is another program that's really stretching itself to have multiple Truck Series entries where they basically had one part-time one. Now they got to have two, and now they're going to have 3 Cup cars, and they got this effort with all this other stuff that's going on there. I think it's go big or go home. But some teams that do that, they tend to flame out, and I don't know if the business model can support that now or not. And then independent of that, I think Hocevar is still a very mercurial talent. Although I was very impressed with how he ran in the Bristol race. I mean, obviously, everybody's going to be labeling him with what happened in the Truck Series finale last year. And I think that there's a lot of unresolved feelings, certainly, on that end. So I think Hocevar might be one you'd have to look at as a possible NASCAR contender. I think that maybe Corey LaJoie by proximity as well. If you know, it seemed like the Spire team kind of stalled out this past year, and maybe that was because they were preparing to get all this stuff set up for next year and expanding their truck program and moving into the KBM shop and all this other stuff that's going on behind the scenes there. But you know, I mean, I'm not questioning their commitment to the sport. It's almost like they're almost too committed to it. You know, again, it's like what is a reasonable accomplishment in their means? Do they think that they're going to get you know, one of those cars into the playoffs? Who knows? Who knows? You know, that's going to be the issue. Hocevar is a talent, but he also struck. I mean, again, he can be hot and cold. He's very much like an early Ernie Irvan. You know, he's kind of gone through a lot of the same rhythms that he had already in his career, even before doing 7 or 8 Cup starts. You know, it's very early on, and then there's, you know, so we'll see. I'd be fine being proven wrong. It could very well be that you have a big name that's struggling. You know, we don't know. You know, we don't know who that could be. We've seen drivers before, like Chase Elliott this past year, have just a terrible season. And yes, it was fraught by injury and other challenges along the way, but you know, that could be another factor in the NASCAR championship too. I mean, Chase was very close to winning that title a couple of years ago, about a year removed from him winning the Cup championship. So we'll see. Reading the question again here, who built most of Richard Petty's winning engines? The answer is indeed Maurice Petty, or Chief. Yep, a lot of you got that one. Maurice Petty is correct. That is the correct answer. Zane Smith's another one. Not just the fact that he's from the Truck Series. You know, again, Zane had some solid runs this past year. I wouldn't say spectacular. I mean, even compared to Hocevar. Hocevar had that very, very good run at Bristol. I think most other tracks, it seemed like he was kind of, you know, I mean, there's been clips out there of, you know, drivers being frustrated with him in traffic and so forth. You know, who's to say? But I mean, you know, Zane, I mean, we'll see. You know, I mean, he's certainly a talent. I mean, he won the truck championship. He was very close to getting into the Final Four again this last year, you know, and before all the disaster that was Homestead, in Talladega on top of that. But yeah, you know, we'll see. It seems like it might be a battle of the newcomers this time around. I don't think it'll be veterans like we've seen the last couple of years with BJ McLeod's runs or, you know, guys like that. This might be the rookies to lose. Next team's question. What team owner endured an aortic valve replacement in 1998? My goodness. Heart surgery question. What team owner endured an aortic valve replacement in 1998? That is the next question. I don't think we've ever had that one on this thing. We've done teams a fair number of times. I'm also hoping John Hunter does well because I wanted to run the Bell South car for one thing. He has to run his dad's paint scheme, you know, and I know it would be tremendously meaningful if he not only wins his first race, but what if he wins it at New Hampshire, where Joe did in 1999, or at Homestead, which of course is a track that has a lot of significance to his whole family, you know, Joe and John, so you know, but anywhere. I'd like to just see the 42. I mean, I'm very big on numbers, so I just like to see the 42 do well again. You know, obviously it had, you know, it had touch and go runs with Chip Ganassi over the years. I think probably their best span in that period was when they had Juan Montoya, and he had that playoff run that one year that he was very strong. Larson never quite got to that same level, although he did win races in it, including his first races. But I'd love to see the 42 do well again. I think that would be cool, especially under the Petty brand there. Even though it's this Legacy Motor Club thing and it's all, whatever. But, yeah, I think that would be exciting. Shane Van Gisbergen. I do like to emphasize the E. I know it's Gisbergen, but every time I do the I feel tempted to say Ginsberg. And then I heard that tripped up everybody, it seemed like, at the Chicago Street Course. So if I go Gee, I can somehow carry it over as a Gisbergen. But I've been listening to the old broadcast there from the Australian touring car. It seems like it went kind of both ways. Whoa. There's some heavy rain here. Hear that. I don't know if that's picking up on there. Yeah, that's going pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, you can hear it? Almost sounds like hail. Yeah, you're right. I think it does. We do get it over here. We're the foothills, so we get just about everything. We had snow. We had our first snow here in like 3 years, the day we left to go to Fontana for the trackside coverage there for the last race there. And then when we got there, the snow had followed us basically the whole way down. So it was nuts. Yeah, there you go. Or if that is hail. Huh. Reading the question here again. What team owner endured an aortic valve replacement in 1998? Really hear it. Here, I point the microphone up. That's got to be hail. That's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. All right. What team owner endured an aortic valve replacement in 1998? The answer is Junie Donlavey. Junie Donlavey. Michael Jordan won his 6th title in 1998. There we go. Not Rick Hendrick. Did anybody guess that? Bud Moore, Felix Sabatas, Jack Roush, Junior Johnson. These are good guesses. But no, it's Junie Donlavey. He of the famous number 90 car. Junie was the man. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, here we go. What team owner did Junior Johnson, Buddy Baker, and Bobby Allison and David Pearson all share? Let me read that one again. What owner did Junior Johnson, Buddy Baker, Bobby Allison, and David Pearson all share? Yeah, no one got that one. That was a hard one. I didn't know that either. 1998. It was interesting because in 500 Days, there was that one part where there was a car that Hut Strickland was entered in, and it was like the first new, or I think it was maybe the 2000 season when Ed Barrier drove, and it was like the first new car that rolled out of the shop since 98, and I wonder if that had something to do with it, with him having heart surgery. Reading the question again, what owner did Junior Johnson, Buddy Baker, Bobby Allison, and David Pearson all share? So I guess several guesses for Holman Moody. We got a couple guesses for the Wood brothers. By the way, big thanks everyone for continuing to support the Derek Cope book too. I was so pleased to see so many people sharing pictures of the book that they got for Christmas. If you haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, it is still, of course, available on Amazon. If you want a signed copy, I do have a few copies left over from our book signing that we did at Scott Harvey Wines back in December. We had a great turnout for that as well. Sold a few copies from there, so that was a lot of fun. And a couple copies of JD as well. If you're interested in that, you can drop me a DM or email on that. But big thanks to everybody for supporting the book there. Even Derek's sister commented on the book there that she enjoyed it as well. So I was very high praise. I really wanted to make sure that this book was right for Derek and his family. I wanted to make sure the story was told the very best it could. And now at this point here with the first printing, just looking to do some more book signings here. We don't have any scheduled quite yet here, but I anticipate when this racing season starts, some opportunities may present themselves, and we'll work our way towards that. But for more updates on that, definitely stay tuned to both the new website and the Twitter feed at Last Car on Brock. We'll get some more updates on that. Reading the question one more time here. What owner did Junior Johnson, Buddy Baker, Bobby Allison, and David Pearson all share? Alrighty, rain settled down a little bit up there, or hail possibly. Alrighty, and the answer is Cotton Owens. Cotton Owens is the correct answer. Not quite Rutgers, no. Not the Wood Brothers, not Holman Moody. Holman Moody is a good guess. Cotton Owens is the correct answer. I don't remember Bobby. I guess Bobby did drive for Cotton. Was that the 22 car? Because he had the golden red one. I have to pull it up. Beep. Beep. Come on. Yeah, let me look it up this way. Here, we can pull it up on the second screen. There's no reason we can't do that. See, my browser is acting weird here. It's doing the same thing with the website that's doing these other websites. At least though it's not just mine. That's good. Let's see. Cotton Owens. Alrighty. So we'll pull up here. So there's Junior Johnson, 1962. There's David Pearson, also 1962. Pearson again. There's Buddy Baker, 1967. Al Unser, Buddy Baker, James Hilton, Buddy Baker, Charlie Glotzbeck, Peter Gregg. We're looking for Bobby Allison, right? Bobby Allison, there he is, 67, right there. Bobby Allison, Buddy Baker, David Pearson, and Junior Johnson. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so that's correct. And survived jumping out of a plane without a parachute. I'm not sure. I guess that sounds like him. That sounds vaguely familiar. I can't quite put my finger on that one though. Let's see. Okay, what was the other one? We were looking at Holman Moody. Let's see. Do we have Holman? Is it listed as Holman Moody or does it listed as either party here? Yeah, okay, no, it has its own team. Okay, let's take a look at Holman Moody. Is that a lot of you guessed that, and I think that's a good guess. You know what? I don't see. I don't see Junior Johnson. That might be the limiting one. Fred Lorenzen, Ken Miles. How about that? Fireball Roberts, Larry Frank. Nope, there's Junior Johnson. Okay, 1964. Okay, there's one. Bobby Allison, 1967s. There's two. David Pearson, 67. There's three. Did he do Buddy Baker? Wow, right up to 73, just like with Cotton Owens. Interesting. Rolf Stommelin, excuse me. Formula One driver, I assume. Frank Gardner, AJ Foyt, Bobby Allison. Looking for Buddy Baker. I don't think he had Buddy Baker. I don't see him. If you guys see him on here, I don't know. Bill Amick, Curtis Turner, Joe Weatherly. Can I sort it by name? No, it doesn't have it sortable. Weatherly, Curtis. No, I don't see him there. Bobby Marshman, Benny Parsons, Bob Welburn, Bobby Johns, Bobby Allison, Sweet Savage. Yeah, I don't see. Okay, unless it just came up with. Unless it just came up with it that way. Doot. Looking. 700 starts. My goodness. See, there's those Jess Potter starts we talked about in the Mike Potter video. Buck Baker, Jason Cliff Stewart, Bernard Alvarez, John Handy, Ray Fox. There's Cotton Owens, Petty Enterprises, Mark Krauskopf, Bud Moore, MC Anderson, Harry Rainier. Yeah, this is very late. This is much later, so I'm not sure if it came up by now. So yeah, it wouldn't be. It was after 73 that Holman Moody wasn't around, so we can't really consider these. So you got to go back up here. Krauskopf, Petty, Cotton Owens, Ray Fox. Huh. Can we do a find? No, yeah, it's not on the page. Interesting, yeah. So Buddy Baker, so 3 of the 4. So that's interesting. Whoop, let me pull this back. I keep looking at the wrong screen. There we go. Okay, interesting. All right, well, very close. So, yeah, so 3 out of the 4 for Holman Moody, but Cotton Owens had all 4. Ready. Let's see. Oh, here we go. That's a good question. This is a good one. This is actually kind of references one of the videos. Last question here for the evening, folks. What owner did Trevor Boyes drive more than half of his NASCAR Winston Cup races with? What owner did Trevor Boyes drive more than half of his NASCAR Winston Cup races with? More than half for Trevor Boyes. We actually had a Trevor Boyes question here. It's another one to look at. Alrighty. Let's see. We got guesses for Buddy Arrington. Let me read the question one more time. What owner did Trevor Boyes, Canadian Trevor Boyes, drive more than half of his NASCAR Winston Cup races with? So what owner, team owner, we're looking for? We got guesses for Buddy Arrington. We got one for Haas Ellington. We'll take a look here. Morgan McClure, yeah, that'd be something for sure. Robin Friends. Well, let's take a look. All right, one more time. What owner did Trevor Boyes drive more than half of his NASCAR Winston Cup races with? And the answer is James Harvey Hilton, including his first start, driving for James Harvey Hilton in the Cup Series, the same driver with which he competed for Rookie of the Year against Sterling Marlin in 83, if I remember correctly from the video. So there you go. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the new site. I'm going to make some more changes to it this evening and get it fully ready to go, but you can start browsing it here in the meantime. Any questions you have about the site or anything like that, you can let me know. We'll just do this soft opening for now, and we'll figure it out from there. So again, thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. I was about to say congratulations, but we didn't really have a race winner here. I'm getting into the rhythm for the season already. I'm not quite at the point where I'm missing the racing season yet, but I'm getting close to it. Probably another week, I'll be kind of gearing up for all that again and getting ready to run it again. So I hope you guys all enjoy the stream tonight. If you watch football, hope you enjoy the last week of the regular season, as we got a game tonight, and then it all concludes tomorrow before the playoffs. And thank you so much, everyone, for your support. So again, meantime, the website is lastcar.info. The Twitter is at lastcaronbrock. Patreon is patreon.com/lastcaronbrock. More videos coming to this channel very soon. 3 of them in the works, including the next episodes of both 500 Days and Rise of the Field Fillers, as well as a driver profile. Part of a push here to make 2024 the year of the videos on this channel. So thank you, everyone, for your support, and I will see you all next time.